Madison Beer has an incredibly frustrating fashion problem. She looks good in almost anything, but wears almost anything, from rocker to chill, girly to sexy, vampire to office, 70s to Renaissance, Ariana Grande to Sabrina Carpenter. Her messy outfits make it so hard to know what her identity is. And this isn't the only fashion problem she has. While I think these outfits look beautiful on her, many of them aren't that creatively interesting. From what I can tell, Madison usually wears what looks good and doesn't also consider an overall brand or vision. Her confusing fashion is one of the reasons she isn't as memorable as she should be, and that's disappointing because she makes beautiful music and I want her to succeed. This fashion problem is also so strange because Madison is highly creative and a great visual storyteller. This video is actually a part 2 to why I think her music videos are so cinematic, and it's mostly because of her creative control. I want to make something super clear, which is that I don't think Madison has poor fashion sense. She almost always looks great. I just think she makes poor fashion choices for a pop star. So I'm gonna break down the ways in which I think she does this, why this is risky, and also provide some ways we can improve it. First of all, for success in the music industry, making good music, it's not enough. You also need to be able to sell it, whether it's the single, the album, or the tour. And that's why a brand is so important. A strong brand differentiates singers and communicates what they offer. It includes things like the artist's values, their artistic vision, and their value proposition, which is what is the unique experience you're gonna get when you listen to their music. But the most recognizable part, the part that we all see, is the visual identity. This part of the brand is where fashion falls. Fashion does not just make an artist look good, but it communicates the artist's brand. A statement piece can reflect their values, a style or color palette can represent their genre, and a costume can even signal a brand shift. Fashion is one of the most important visual brand elements because it's the only one seen at every appearance. It's the most distinguishing feature of the artist outside of their voice, but this is only true if they have a signature style. Madison doesn't really have one, and this is creating a weaker brand for her, which leads to poor memorability. A signature style includes silhouettes, fabrics, colors, or symbols that are iconic to that artist. For example, what pop star do you think of when I show you these colors? Probably Olivia Rodrigo. Who do you think would wear something with this on it? Probably Sabrina Carpenter. And based purely on silhouettes, who is this? It can't be anyone other than Ari. If I show you this, who do you think of? Melanie Martinez? Maybe Jojo Siwa? Or do you think Madison Beer? If you're a fan of hers, you might, but even I'm a fan of hers, and I think this is a weak association. This is because Madison makes inconsistent fashion choices. This bow is a great example of that. Madison does have a really cute bow tattoo, and she wore a bunch of ribbons during her previous tour, and that's about it. For some reason, bows are a huge part of her current tour promo, even though she never wears them on stage, and only one music video from her most recent album prominently includes them. But this song, Reckless, came out 3 years ago and is what inspired her previous tour's outfits, along with the song Boy Shit, which was on her last album. If this already sounds messy, it's because it is. The first examples are so recognizable because these artists consistently wear them. If Madison wants to make ribbons a signature part of her look, her fashion needs to be consistent. A test that illustrates this problem even further is the Pinterest test, which I completely made up so you know it's 100% accurate. Pinterest gives you an aesthetic mood board based off of whatever you search. So for example, searching Olivia Rodrigo, the results are all purple, plaid, combat boots, and stars. One look and you can define her as Gen Z grunge. But when you search Madison Beer, the results are less cohesive. There are no iconic symbols or color palettes. To me, the only words that come to mind are pretty and trendy. Those words, they're not negative, but they are neutral. This style doesn't do enough to communicate who Madison is. In fact, it reinforces her image as a trendy influencer, not a trend-setting artist. Now you might say, what if Madison's brand is just pretty neutral trendiness. If that's authentic to her, how can you say it's wrong? And that's a great point, because this absolutely is not wrong, but it's also not the smartest choice. A safe style is okay, but the consequence of that is it isn't a recognizable one. There are ways that she can still be trendy and make a memorable impression. Sabrina, you could argue, only wears trends, from corsets to microskirts, but they're always pastel, heart-themed, and with the same Bratz heel. Madison trend hops rather than sticks to a few that are recognizably her. And it's so frustrating because she will have these great style moments where I think she's found her identity, but then she switches. The most consistent time in her career, which I think was such a highlight for her, was during her life support tour. Every single outfit was with bows and pastel and feminine. This definitely feels like it has a vision. I thought we had finally found something, but now in her current era, we've completely lost that, and her performance looks have gone from streetwear to 2013 Ariana Grande to 2024 Sabrina Carpenter to Office Siren. It just breaks my heart going from something so strong to something so unclear again. I also think that simply following basic trends is limiting her ability to differentiate. So far, I've compared her to Sabrina, Ariana, and generic influencers, and I know I'm not the only one who does this. And I think this is a consequence of having a vague style. It's not helping her stand out, even when her music is very good and very different than Ariana and Sabrina. This inconsistency bleeds into her second style problem, which is confusing fashion choices. Outfits should not only be recognizable, but reflect the music of the artist. Because again, fashion helps the brand, which helps sell the music. I would define Madison's musical style to be dark, alternative pop. You would think her outfits would also lean darker to reflect it, but they don't really. For example, her life support album was influenced by electric and rock sounds and is quite dark thematically. Madison made understandable fashion choices in the beginning of this album rollouts. She wore edgier and futuristic outfits to match her music. But then, we switched to a hyper-feminine doll for the tour. Even though I love how consistent it was, I love these dresses, I love this aesthetic, there's still a sort of disconnect between this look and her music. Now, to be fair, this aesthetic was to capitalize on the success of Reckless, which was a post-album single and is still her most popular song to date. Plus, the album Life Support was a delayed album because of COVID. So by the time she released it, she was probably in a very different place and maybe wanted to reflect that in her fashion. But even still, this just does not match the dark tone of the album. But because I do really love this look, I think this pivot could have worked had she reinterpreted it for her next album, for Silence Between Songs. But no, we switched vibes again. And these outfits reflect her music even less than the Life Support tour. The album Silence Between Songs is dark and ethereal and grounded. It's very Lana Del Rey vibes. Where is that earthy darkness in these outfits? And none of them are references to her videos. At least in the Life Support tour, her outfits referenced Reckless and Boy Shit. This is very similar with her red carpet looks. They don't really match the eras of her music. Aside from this dress, which kind of looks like her Showed Me outfit, this is a missed marketing opportunity. It's likely that one of the reasons not many people check out her music is because they don't really know what to expect. One new artist who has excellent understandability between her fashion and her music is Chappell Roan. She dresses in over-the-top, unmissable drag outfits. To be honest, I still need to listen to more of her music, but her style absolutely matches the 80s infused, theatrical, poppy, and queer-themed songs I have heard. I wouldn't expect Madison to go as crazy as this with her outfits. I don't think that's authentic to her, but I would just love a clear through line between her visual identity and her musical identity. Aside from image and branding, fashion is also a great marketing tactic, like I just mentioned. If artists become style icons, this can boost their presence to people who don't even listen to their music. Sabrina Carpenter is an excellent example of this, and I also have talked about how great Sabrina's branding is in my Sabrina Carpenter video. Madison, I think, has this half figured out, because I would say Madison is quite iconic in one area of fashion, which is her street style. She consistently wears big hoops, leopard prints, low-rise baggy pants, and sexy crop tops. And I really love her street style. I think it's so strong. But for popstar fashion, which is the stage and the carpets and the performance, there needs to be some element of creativity. For successful marketing, the outfits don't have to be crazy to go viral or get good press. They just need to be flattering and not boring. And again, this is so frustrating because Madison sometimes is super creative, and then other times I don't know where it goes. For example, she had such an iconic outfit for her 21st birthday party. Madison also had a great moment at the Grammys this year. These occurrences, though, they're very rare. And so often, her outfits just leave something to be desired. Now, aside from the business side of fashion, the marketing and the branding, fashion also helps with storytelling, whether it's of the song, the album, or the artist. One type of story fashion can tell is the artist's origin story. For example, Tate McRae is constantly in hockey and dancewear, like jerseys and hockey pads with jazz booty shorts and hip-hop pants. Tate McRae is from Canada. She's a trained dancer and she dated a hockey player. These outfits show her personality. They show her background. They give insight to her character. Madison may not be from another country, but she is a cinephile. She's a lover of darkness and psychology, which all of this is emphasized quite well in her music videos, which I talk about in my last video. She absolutely can creatively weave in these personal traits into her outfits to showcase that side of her. And I'm gonna give you some basic examples in a little bit. Fashion also tells stories the same way costume design does in film. I talk a lot about movies on this channel, and it's the same for the music industry. In movies, character archetypes are designed to instantly connect with an audience. An outfit can help tell that simple story. So for example, just by looking at these characters, this is clearly the innocent good girl, and this is the hot bad boy. You don't need to see any of the movie to instantly understand that. Artists with strong brands typically craft a sort of archetype as well, and not only does this help build a signature style, but to sell the story of the music. For each project or album, they might elevate this look or they might explore a new character. The best example is probably Taylor Swift, who reinvents herself every album, from the sweetheart to the snake to the tortured poets. This is a carefully manicured style to control her music's narrative. These character archetypes, I know I'm saying characters, but it's not really a character per se, it's really just a specific side of that artist. For Madison, instead of one archetype that she elevates or creates per project, Madison falls into three at the same time: the seductress, the lover, and the alien. The best way I can show you this is through her music video outfits. Seductress Madison is sexy, hypnotizing, intimidating, maybe a little bit villainous. These are her tight mini dresses and any outfit that shows skin. Lover Madison is a hopeless romantic. Beneath the beauty, she's raw, emotional, and fragile. These outfits are doll-like and vulnerable. Alien Madison feels misunderstood but is a fighter. She's a futuristic Lara Croft. These outfits have clean lines and edge. On their own, most of these outfits work for the individual video concepts, but it's also a lot of different aesthetics overall. And there are some looks in these videos that don't fall into any of these archetypes, like this 90s office outfit in Reckless. Blazers, for some reason, just don't connect with Madison for me. I don't know why. And then this random moon onesie in Baby that Beyonce also wore. Madison chooses to craft mini stories instead of an overarching one. It feels like she lacks vision with her albums, especially visually. In fact, for both of her albums, the covers were last minute. So much so that Silence Between Songs, the physical copies, are still the old cover. This ambiguity bleeds into her fashion, which means she misses the opportunity to expand on her storytelling. So how can we fix this? First, we need to define what Madison's visual brand is, or more accurately, suggest what I think it should be. We want something that is cohesive, but it needs to be authentic to her and reflect her music. Ideally, there would be one character archetype per album for simplicity, but because she likes playing different characters and making mini movie music videos, one clear visual through line will at least help tie these stories together. So let's look at the elements we already have and see if we can draw together a consistent visual theme. Madison's music leans dark with electric instrumentals, deep vocals, mixed with soft melodies. It's a combination of pop, rock, and R&B. Her music videos are homages to her favorite films and range from moody to horror to futuristic to sultry. She favors dark, neutral colors over bright ones. On red carpets and on social media, she embraces her femininity by highlighting her female form. She has a natural, alluring, and seductive essence, but at the same time is casual. She likes big hoops and is trying to make ribbons a thing. To me, Madison's visual brand very clearly should be dark feminine. But that's kind of generic, so let's narrow it down. The first option that we could explore under this dark feminine umbrella is the femme fatale. Think of Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Megan Fox in Jennifer's Body. This visual identity, it's still quite feminine, but it's also dark and sexy, which to me is so Madison. And I think to still keep that touch of sweetness, I do think she could work in some slim ribbons here and there. Madison, I'm pretty sure, is a dark winter or a deep winter. If you're familiar with the color seasons, which is essentially just a way to find out what colors complement your skin tone and hair color the best. But this color palette is literally the femme fatale color palette. It's categorized with deep, cool, contrasting colors. So let's move away from the pastels because Sabrina unfortunately has a chokehold on that right now. And let's go sexy over sweet because I think that this is your vibe. I truly do. And I love all of the gloves Madison wears. I really think that this could be an iconic moment if she's stuck with it. One of my favorite outfits that Madison has worn for a performance is this Matrix look. Isn't this so her? I just feel like the performance is elevated by tenfold because of this outfit. Now, story-wise, this might not make sense for the music she wants to make. Clearly, it would depend on the album, but in general, this does match her seductress archetype that she likes to play into, and I think it would be so interesting to interpret this style in a vulnerable way for her emotional songs. Femme fatales are also lone wolves, which I think match her alien and misfit archetype quite well. This also does feel a little bit Lana Del Rey-esque, but Lana definitely leans more vintage. Madison also definitely has a casual element to her, but that's the fun of it because she can put her own twist on this aesthetic so that she feels comfortable in it. If we want a little bit more creativity, I would do the second option, which is the character archetype of the siren. This, to be honest, is literally the femme fatale, just with water. Think of someone like Vanessa from The Little Mermaid, or the sirens from the Pirates of the Caribbean. This aesthetic is so perfect for Madison. I just need to explain to you why. In her music videos, Madison is almost always in a body of water. She's in a bathtub in Hurts Like Hell, Dead, and Showed Me. And in that music video, she also swims in a pool, just like she does in Make You Mine and Sweet Relief. And in Sweet Relief, she's also in a shower, and she metaphorically drowns twice. She's also in the shower on her memoir. Madison is also a Pisces, which is a water sign and represented by a fish. And if that's not enough for you, Madison was named after the mermaid in the movie Splash. So she would literally be a walking origin story. Sirens are also associated with seduction, horror, and love, which are all things Madison has made music about or made a music video about. They could also represent being a misfit because she would literally be a fish out of water. I would absolutely stylize this subtly, so I wouldn't put her in seashells and scales. I think the best way I can represent this to you is to use Tyla as an example. She is very oceanic in her clothing, but she's still trendy. But Tyla is very party-esque. Madison's siren style would look more like she lures sailors to their death in the deep sea. I think she could even keep her corsets, and she could definitely include ribbons like streams of water in her hair. I'd focus on the blues, greens, and grays of the deep winter season. This also works so well because Madison loves to be barefoot. It is possible that she doesn't want to reference A siren because that would bring back the memories of her Madison Beer doll when she collabed with Monster High, but that was like 10 years ago, so I think it's fine. We just have to be consistent for like 1 to 2 album cycles, and then we can start to experiment a little bit more. I don't mean for this video to be restrictive or want to box her in. I'm really just trying to come from the angle of strategy. I absolutely believe that whatever she wears, it should be what she likes and is comfortable in. Because at the end of the day, fashion is about self-expression and what makes you feel good. Ideally, her fashion would continue to be authentic while she builds a brand and tells a story. Whether she does it in a femme fatale way, a siren way, or she goes back to her very girly life support aesthetic, which I think is really cute too, whatever she feels is the best for her. That's, I think, what would be the best chance for success because she would enjoy wearing it. If you have any ideas of what Madison Beer should do with her fashion, please let me know. I just really love all elements of the visual arts and storytelling, so that's why I'm so passionate about this. Thank you for sticking around as I talk about so many random things on this channel. I've gone from movies to music videos to animation to branding. I hope it's interesting. I had fun, and I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely night, and thank you so much for watching.